Hello, my name is Samir Negi and welcome back to my channel. We are going to start the Quick Concepts episode 1 with RAG, Retrieval-Augmented Generation. So, you have played using ChatGPT, right? And noticed it sometimes make things up. That's called hallucination. Now imagine you are building an AI assistant for your company and it confidently answers a question using the data it invented. That's a real problem, and RAG is basically how you fix it. So, the first question which comes to your mind is what is RAG? RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. The name sounds fancy, but the idea is simple. Instead of asking the LLM to rely on what is learned during the training, you first retrieve relevant information from your own data and then augment the prompt with that info. And finally, let the LLM generate an answer grounded in what you gave it. Look at the flow, right? User asks a question, your system searches for documents for relevant chunks, and those chunks get added to the prompt, and the LLM reads out the context and gives an accurate grounded answer. The question is, why does it matter? LLM are trained on data on a certain data, right? They don't know about your company internal documentation, your latest reports, and anything that happened recently. And that's why if you go to any OpenAI or Gemini models, you will see a cutoff date. And the cutoff date actually tells you till when the data is being used. So they don't know anything about the latest events. You can obviously ask them to go to internet and search for it, but then you are also giving them the access to the outside network, right? So RAG solves, and how does RAGs come into picture is basically it solves all of that. Without changing the model, you are giving it the right information at the right moment. Okay, so let me show you it in actual code. I have a file open. Let's walk through it section by section. So we move to the Visual Studio Code. I have made a demo for you and the output will basically looks like this. I ran it before to check everything was working correctly or not, and we are using a free tier model, so you don't need to worry about that. You need money or your credit card for this model. You don't need anything. You just need to go to like the AI Studio just to get your API key, and everything else will basically is configured there. So now the first section is basically how to set up. We need few things, and I'm going to work in a virtual environment. If you are working in Python, you should be familiar with the VNV. And then we install basically our requirements. The three requirements which you need is generative AI, the NumPy, and HTTPX. Then you get your API key from the AI Studio from Google, and then you basically export it on your terminal. And then you run this code which we will write together right now. These are the imports, these are the gen and configure, and basically this is the knowledge base. The last thing which is already in the code is basically asking question. Now, what I will do is that first I will write code and then explain why I am writing it. But if you till now haven't subscribed or liked this video, please do that. Okay, so now first we need an embedded model. Should I use this? Okay, I am model slash Gemini embedding. And if you don't like me coding, you can always fast forward this video to the end to understand the explanation. But I like coding with you guys, so basically I will write it. And this will be an NP array which will have gen embedded create, not create, actually we don't need to create. So just let me state this, and this should be content, not create. And I will reject it for now. Means we need to write it, but we can do it later. Then we will do the content with this embedded model. The input is the content is actually the documentation. Content is equal to the documentation. I can accept this here as well later on. And then basically the task is to I have to give it a task, which is basically task underscore type typ equal to retrieval of document, and then we take the embedded and then we go for the documentation. That's fine. What I want to do is that I want to divide it into multiple lines so that we can basically explain it a bit later. And then this can go here, and then this can go here. I will accept this for now. We will check whether it has been generated correctly or not. So first we will understand this part of the code. Okay, so this is the embedding step, and it is the core how RAG works. An embedded takes a piece of text and convert it into a list of numbers, 100 of numbers that capture the meaning of that text. The key insight is similar meanings give you similar numbers. So Q3 revenue, how much did we earn, would end up being the very similar embeddings. Here we are calling Gemini embedding model on every document in our knowledge base. We do this once upfront and store the result. Think of it as a pre-processing of your data for searching fast later. So the next step, what we are going to discuss that we have already seen in the presentation, is the retrieve stuff. Now, for the retrieve stuff, we take a query and this thing is fine. Then we take an embedded, which take an NP array, which also take a content model that embedding and which is embedding. Then we calculate the scores, which is docs embedding at the rate query embedding. Then we calculate the norms, which is NB link model norm docs embedding access equal to 1 into query embedding. Then we have similarities, then we have top indices, basically based on your similarity, and then we return the documents this. Now, to explain you a bit, this thing is now retrieve. This is where the search happens. So basically now in retrieve function, the searching is happening. When a user asks a question, we embed that question in the same way we embedded our document. So basically we convert that question into numbers. Now we have two things. The question has number and all our document has numbers. We then calculate the cosine similarity, which is basically measuring the angle between those number lists. Small angles means similar meaning. So this line here, the docs embedding at the rate query embedding is a dot product. It is a faster way to measure that the similarity across all the document at once. We sort by score, take the top two matches and return those chunks. No keyword matching, no exact phrase matching, pure semantic similarity. It finds meaning, not just word. And the third is basically to augment and generate. Now we need to choose the model, which we are basically taking a generative model, which is 3.5 Flash. You can use the same model because it is a free, which you can use in the free tier. Otherwise, all the models, either you have a rate like you don't have any limit for it, or they are not supported for the new user. So just use 3.5 Flash. Currently it is used. And then basically we are creating the function called RAG answer. Then we have relevant chunks, code and prompt here. Now, and the other thing which we have basically context and the questions we are going to ask them. So this is where basically everything comes together. We call retrieve to get those chunks and then build a prompt that includes those chunks as a context. Notice this line, answer only using the context below. So this line is very important because you have to understand the context. It cannot go off and use its training data. It has to answer from what we gave it. And if the answer is in the context, we will tell it so how we prevent hallucination. So then we pass the whole thing to Gemini and get back the answer. So this is basically we are passing the whole thing to Gemini and getting the answer. Now what we will do is that I will run it for you. So to run it, you just Python run demo.py. It says okay, obviously. I don't know why it took Gen AI. It should not took Gen AI. Do you know the difference between Gen AI and what I'm saying, Gen AI and other stuff? So it should use Gen AI.embed. So this is correct, and then it should use underscore and content. Similarly, we will use this thing here as well. I used it wrong, then we save it. Okay, fine, this is okay. Now we clear it out and we run it again. So what is the Q3 revenue? Q3 revenue was 4 million. What did you mobile app launch? So you see with the given thing and the question you answer, it was able to match the correct responses to the current question. And this is what we wanted to achieve. Moving forward. Now that's RAG, retrieve, augment and generate in under 60 lines of Python code, roughly 70. Now, in a real lab, you will swap the list of documents for a vector database like Pinecone or a ChromaDB and load from PDFs, Notions or Slack, whatever. But the core loop is exactly this. So the next episode, we will work on something more quick concept. But till then, thank you so much and have a nice day.